Whomever Allah raises, none can bring down, and whomever He lowers, none can raise. Bismillah. My dear brothers and sisters, have you noticed how the tables have turned? The very people who once dismissed you, mocked you, or looked down on you, now whisper behind closed doors, competing with one another just to be near you. The elite, the powerful, the ones who believed the world belonged to them, suddenly realize there's something you carry that no throne, no fortune, and no empire can give. They are launching a secret bidding war, fighting for a seat next to you, because they know that you are chosen by Allah, and being near you means being near a divine light they desperately crave. But here's the truth. This battle isn't about wealth, titles, or influence. It's about your soul, your connection to Allah, and the destiny He wrote for you long before the world ever knew your name. And today, we are going to uncover 7 powerful lessons about what this really means for you as one of Allah's chosen ones. Chosen ones. For so long, you walked unnoticed, unseen, and underestimated. People looked at you and saw nothing special. Some even mocked your struggles. Others ignored your presence as though you carried no weight. But what they didn't know was that Allah had hidden your value on purpose, just like a priceless treasure buried beneath the ground, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. Allah's wisdom is perfect. He shields you in obscurity so that the wrong people cannot exploit you. And He keeps your light dimmed until the time comes when its brilliance cannot be ignored. Look at the story of Yusuf, peace be upon him, sold for a few coins as though he was worthless, abandoned and forgotten. But later, nations and kings bowed before his wisdom. That is the sunnah of Allah with His chosen ones. Your value is not revealed by the approval of people. It is unveiled by Allah Himself. When He decides to raise you, no enemy can bury you, and no elite can overshadow you. So never be disheartened by being overlooked, because being hidden was never a sign of your weakness. It was the sign that Allah was preparing the world for the day your light would be revealed, and the world would be forced to recognize what Allah already knew about you. Chosen ones, understand this truth. What Allah placed inside of you is beyond the reach of gold, palaces, or kingdoms. The elite can gather treasures from every corner of the earth, yet they cannot purchase the barakah, blessing, that flows from your life. They can sit at the top of corporate empires, control nations, and manipulate markets, yet they cannot buy the purity of your heart, the strength of your saber, or the peace that comes from placing your forehead on the ground before Allah. Wealth can buy them influence, but it cannot buy them forgiveness on the day of judgment. It can buy them power in this world, but it cannot buy them mercy in the next. And that is why they secretly fight for a seat next to you. Because being near you reminds them of what they do not have, of what their billions can never secure, a living connection to Allah. Look at Qarun, the man whom Allah mentions in the Quran. His wealth was so immense that even the keys to his treasures were too heavy for a group of strong men to carry. Yet despite all his riches, his arrogance led him to destruction. People admired him at first, wishing they had what he possessed. But when Allah caused the earth to swallow him, everyone realized his wealth could not protect him. Compare that with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who owned little of this world, but carried the light that kings and emperors could not resist. Leaders wrote to him, begging to meet him, offering him wealth and power. Yet he carried something their thrones could never give them: truth. You see, chosen ones, your true wealth is not in what you hold in your hands, but in what Allah has deposited in your soul. They may laugh at your simplicity, mock your struggles, or belittle your worldly status. But when calamity strikes or truth pierces through the fog of lies, they will search for you. They will come with open hands, with promises, with gifts, but what you carry cannot be traded. Your dua in the middle of the night carries more weight than their endless gold reserves. Your tears shed for the sake of Allah are more powerful than their armies. Your one act of sincerity, hidden from the eyes of men, is more valuable than their lifetime of self-glorification. The Quran reminds us, indeed, Allah does not look at your wealth or your appearance, but He looks at your hearts and your deeds. And this is why their wealth cannot buy what you carry, because what you have is not for sale. It was written for you by Allah before you were even born. It was shaped through your trials, carved into your heart through your patience, and polished through your worship. This is why even the elite feel a pull toward you. They sense the presence of something they cannot define, something that terrifies them and yet fascinates them. They realize that their billions cannot buy the calmness you feel when you whisper, Ya Allah, in sujood, nor can it buy the unshakable strength you draw from tawakkul, trust in Allah. So remember this. Do not measure yourself by their palaces, their titles, or their seats of power. For what Allah has written for you is greater than their wealth, and the treasures you carry will outlast their empires. They are scrambling for a seat near you because deep down they know you hold what their money never could, the light of Allah's guidance. Chosen ones understand this reality. While the elites scramble and compete for a seat next to you, Allah has already written your seat above them. They think their thrones, their councils, and their titles make them untouchable, but the truth is that these are fragile illusions that disappear the moment death touches them. Your rank, however, is not tied to palaces or power. It is tied to the decree of Allah, and when Allah elevates someone, no force on earth can lower them. The Quran reminds us clearly, you honor whom you will, and you humble whom you will. In your hand is all good. Indeed, you are over all things competent. Surah Al-Imran 3:26. Your seat is not something men can grant you or strip away. It is a station Allah Himself appoints. Look at the life of Ibrahim, peace be upon him. He was thrown into a fire by a king who thought he held ultimate authority. Yet Allah made the fire coolness and safety for him. That moment was not only a miracle, but a message. Your seat is not beside kings who think they own the world. Your true position is above them, in the care of the one who owns the heavens and the earth. Similarly, Yusuf, peace be upon him, sat in a prison cell while rulers feasted in luxury. But when Allah's time arrived, Yusuf was placed above them all as the treasurer of Egypt, guiding nations through famine with wisdom no throne could buy. Chosen ones, your obscurity, your suffering, and your rejection are not signs of weakness. They are the building blocks of a seat Allah is raising above every elite who once looked down on you. The elites want you at their table because they think proximity to you will add legitimacy to their crumbling empires. They want to sit beside you so they can claim some of your light for themselves, hoping it will hide the darkness of their dealings. But what they fail to realize is that your seat is not theirs to give. Allah has already placed you on a station where their bidding wars are meaningless. They might invite you into their courts, but Allah has already invited you into His remembrance. They might offer you worldly seats, but Allah has prepared for you a seat among His beloved servants in Jannah. This is why you must never lower yourself to chase their approval, for what they are fighting to give you is far beneath what Allah has already promised you. Even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced this temptation. Quraysh offered him wealth, leadership, and women if only he would stop calling people to Islam. They said, "If you want kingship, we will make you our king." But the Prophet, peace be upon him, knew his seat was not beside their idols or their empty thrones. It was above them, decreed by Allah. He replied that even if they placed the sun in his right hand and the moon in his left, he would never abandon the message. And indeed, history testifies, their thrones turned to dust, but his station continues to rise until the day of judgment. Chosen ones, never forget, your seat is not defined by their recognition, their invitations, or their approval. You are already seated above them in ways they cannot comprehend. You have access to Allah through dua, through prayer, through the Quran, doors they cannot open with all their riches. When you raise your hands to the sky in sincere supplication, you are closer to the throne of Allah than they are with all their councils and assemblies. And in the hereafter, when the elites are questioned about their arrogance and stripped of their false honor, Allah will seat the patient, the oppressed, and the sincere above them all. So hold firm, chosen one. Do not shrink yourself to fit into seats Allah never wrote for you. Do not crave their recognition, for it is a fleeting shadow. Your seat is higher, eternal, and untouchable. They are fighting for a place beside you, but Allah has already written a place above them for you, if only you remain steadfast, humble, and true to Him. Chosen ones, listen carefully. The elites are not drawn to you because they love you. They are drawn because they fear you. They fear what happens when your presence disrupts their carefully constructed illusions. For years, they controlled the narrative, deciding who is powerful, who is weak, who is honored, and who is humiliated. But when Allah places His light in you, suddenly their grip on people begins to slip. Your words carry weight that their speeches cannot imitate. Your silence unsettles them more than their threats can unsettle you, and your presence alone forces hidden truths into the open. This is why they fight for a seat next to you, not out of admiration, but out of desperation. They believe that if they can stay close, they can somehow manage the uncontrollable force that Allah has placed within you. Think of the Quraysh when they dealt with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. They did not deny his character. In fact, they admitted he was al-Amin, the trustworthy. Their fear was not that he was lying, but that his truth would unravel their false system of idols, greed, and control. They feared losing their grip over the masses. So, what did they do? They plotted, they bribed, they threatened, they mocked. But deep inside, they were terrified. Just his presence in a gathering meant people would lean toward him and away from their empty idols. This is what happens with chosen ones. You don't even have to fight. Your existence alone shifts the balance of power. The elites today are no different. When they come near you, they smile, they flatter, they act as though they respect you. But behind their smiles is fear. They know you see through their masks, and that terrifies them. They know your spirit cannot be bought, and that frustrates them. They know that when you speak, people listen in a way they never listen to them, and that makes them feel powerless. This is why they surround themselves with wealth, bodyguards, and propaganda, because inside they are fragile. One word of truth from a chosen one can collapse an empire of lies they spent decades building. Remember the words of Allah in the Quran. Indeed, those who disbelieve spend their wealth to avert people from the way of Allah, so they will spend it. Then it will be for them a source of regret. Then they will be overcome. Surah Al-Anfal 8:36. They are terrified that their control is slipping because you carry something that cannot be stopped, Allah's decree. Their fear is not about you personally. It is about the fact that through you, Allah is proving to the world that their power is an illusion. Chosen ones never mistake their fear for friendship. They will come near you not to uplift you, but to monitor you, to try to silence you, to keep you under their watch. But what they don't understand is that they can never cage the soul that Allah has liberated. They cannot silence the truth that Allah Himself has chosen to reveal. Just like they feared Musa, peace be upon him, in Pharaoh's court, one man standing with a staff against an empire with armies, yet they trembled because they sensed the divine hand behind him. That is the same fear they feel around you. They fear you because you are not fighting alone. You are standing with Allah. So, chosen one, do not let their fear intimidate you. Let it remind you that your presence carries a weight they cannot control. Let it remind you that their systems, no matter how powerful they look, are crumbling at the edges whenever you enter the room. And above all, let it remind you that Allah made you a living proof of His promise, and Allah will protect you from the people. Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:67. Their fear is their confession that you are not ordinary. You are chosen. Chosen ones, hear this and hold it like a lifeline. When the elite scramble and scheme, when plots are drawn in shadow and whispers are sharpened into knives, Allah surrounds you with a protection that no human strategy can break. This protection is not an abstract idea. It is a living, active shield placed by the one who never sleeps. It works silently, closing doors that should open for your enemies, guiding calamities away from your path, turning the arrows of slander aside, and making the plans of the arrogant unravel at the precise moment they think victory is theirs. The Quran itself assures us that Allah is the best of planners. When people plot, He plans in ways that expose the weakness and folly of their schemes. This is your comfort and your proof. The hands that try to pull you down will instead be tangled in the nets they set for you. Remember the small but decisive signs in your life, the job you were denied that later became your greatest mercy, the relationship that ended only for a far better one to arrive, the words spoken behind your back that eventually exposed the speaker's true heart. These are not coincidences. They are the fingerprints of divine protection. Allah hid you in obscurity at times to keep you from those who would blind you with flattery or corrupt your path with greed. He closed windows that seemed like opportunities because something purer was being prepared for you. A chosen one's life is often full of veils that feel like punishment, but those veils are armor. Do not romanticize persecution as the only sign of being chosen. Rather, understand that protection arrives in many forms. Sometimes it is a sudden calm in the chaos, a last-minute delay that spares you from harm, a heart that softens and prevents a betrayal. Sometimes it is the inner peace that shields your soul from panic, even when the world screams. The protection of Allah is not always loud. Often it is the quiet insistence that you remain intact when everything around you breaks. Like the Prophet, peace be upon him, sheltered in the cave, while enemies search the desert. Allah's care for his chosen servants can be both miraculous and ordinary, a chain of small mercies sewn together to form a cloak of safety. The elites will try to close ranks and bring you into their orbit to neutralize you. They will attempt to bribe, flatter, threaten, or coerce. But know this: proximity to worldly power is not always safety. The real safety, the safety that elevates and preserves you, comes from staying connected to Allah, from the dua you whisper in the night, the sincere sajda no one sees, the Quran that passes over your tongue, and the patience that lives in your chest. These are not weak things. They are bulletproof. The more you anchor yourself in sincere worship and humble obedience, the more the fortress around you becomes impenetrable. When slander rises and conspiracies form, Allah's light will cause truth to surface. Those who thought they could bury you will become their own witnesses. Their plots will collapse because the very essence of their schemes is hollow, built on fear, greed, and a fragile pride that cannot withstand divine decree. The story of many believers across the ages shows this. The apparent victors in the short term are often the first to fall in the long run. The chosen ones, meanwhile, are preserved and uplifted, not because they are cleverer or stronger, but because Allah's promise holds. He protects whom He wills, and He is sufficient as a guardian. So when you feel loneliness at night, when the world feels hostile and the elite seem to be sharpening their claws, turn inward. Make your home in the remembrance of Allah. Let your heart be a sanctuary and your tongue a weapon of truth in gentle form. Guard your intentions, protect your humility. Remember that Allah's protection also tests you, to ensure your reliance is pure and that you don't confuse safety with surrender to false comforts. Stay humble, stay watchful, but do not fear, for the one who raises and lowers is the same one who shields and sustains. Trust the silence that keeps you safe. Trust the delays that preserve your dignity. Trust the closed doors that redirect you to doors that open wide with mercy. The elite may wage their secret bidding wars, but no auction of this world can purchase the shield Allah places over His chosen. Your true protection is woven from faith, prayer, and the quiet, steady work of a soul aligned with its Lord. And that protection will carry you, inshallah, to what is truly meant for you. Chosen ones, understand this. Your presence is not neutral. It is a living beacon, and that beacon reveals what others desperately tried to hide. When Allah places light in a heart, it does more than comfort the bearer. It unmasks secrets, unmasks hypocrisy, and forces falsehood to retreat from its own shadow. The elites who circle you are often masters of concealment. They build facades, they polish reputations, they craft narratives that make corruption look respectable and cruelty look like competence. But light does not negotiate with darkness. It shows it. And when you walk into a room, speak a truth, or simply live with integrity, their comfortable lies begin to crack. People begin to remember what honesty sounds like. Tongues that had learned to flatter begin to fumble for excuses. Alliances stitched together by fear begin to fray. Your quiet consistency, a salah in the early morning, a sincere dua in the night, an act of kindness when nobody's watching, becomes the mirror that forces them to face what they have become. Look at the way the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, moved through a society built on status and patronage. His simple manners and uncompromising truth exposed the corruption of the proud, and they reacted with rage, ridicule, and schemes. Why? Because truth lays bare the lies on which power rests. The elites fear the chosen ones for the same reason. Proximity to your integrity can cause their structures to wobble, their followers to question, and their towers of influence to reveal the rotten beams within. They will therefore attempt many things. They will try to cozy up to you so they can appropriate your light as a mask for themselves. They will attempt to discredit you so your light seems dim. They will hire flatterers to soften your edges and turn your followers' attention toward conveniences and comforts that separate them from sincerity. But these are all desperate tactics, because light, when genuine, cannot be bought, diluted, or blackmailed. Your light exposes not only the sins of others, but also the emptiness of worldly proofs. Titles, awards, media clout, these glittering signs lose their shine when set beside a heart that trembles in sujud. People begin to feel it, a weight that makes them uncomfortable around false grandeur, a pull that draws them toward authenticity. This is why the powerful both fear and chase you. Fear because your light threatens their system. Chase because proximity to authenticity still gives them the hope of being seen as legitimate. Be careful. Their approach can be a trap. They may applaud your charity while trying to own your story. They may bow to your wisdom while secretly trying to neutralize it. Their closeness can be the very mechanism by which they attempt to turn your clarity into camouflage for their darkness. So guard your light with wisdom. Illuminate, but do not blind yourself with the attention of men. Keep your intentions sharp and your humility intact. When your light exposes another's darkness, respond with the manners Allah taught us: patience, measured speech, and a clear refusal to be purchased by praise or silenced by threats. Use your influence to guide and to heal, not to humiliate. Reveal truth so it may reform, not so it may wound for the sake of revenge. Remember that sometimes exposing darkness requires distance as much as speech. The most powerful witness is often a quiet, consistent life that proves truth over decades. Let your life be the sermon they cannot rebut. Finally, know this comforting and terrifying reality together. Comforting because Allah has placed a lamp in you that no power can extinguish. Terrifying for those who rely on smoke and mirrors, because when your lamp burns, their shadows scatter. Their bidding war to sit near you is a confession of their fear that your light will undo them. Walk forward humbly, chosen one. Let your light reveal what must be revealed. Leave the judgment to Allah. Protect your sincerity like a treasure, and trust that every exposed darkness is another step toward the cleansing of hearts and the elevation of truth. Chosen one, receive this truth deep in your chest and let it steady your steps. The world's clamor for proximity is not about your ego or their generosity. It is a confession that Allah has placed in you a station they cannot manufacture, a seat of authority and mercy that belongs to the one who raises whom he wills. They think they are battling for a chair beside you, bargaining and scheming to borrow your glow, but the reality shaped by divine decree is far greater and far purer. You are the seat. Allah did not merely give you followers or influence as a trinket to be exchanged at court. He made you a center of gravity, a place where truth rests and hearts find refuge. Like the Kaaba that draws pilgrims from every condition and rank, what Allah has placed in you attracts kings and paupers alike. They swarm because some inner compass recognizes that proximity to you means nearness to a reality no wealth can buy. This station was cultivated in the private hours, through the silent tears wiped in sujood, the secret acts of charity, the years of being misunderstood and overlooked, so that when the world finally bows and scrambles, it will be forced to recognize what Allah always knew. Do not be seduced into thinking their scramble validates you. Let their chase be the world's admission that their empires were hollow and your appointment was written on a page they could not read. Remember the prophetic pattern. The one who sat in poverty but carried truth drew nations to his message. The one who was mocked and imprisoned became a seat of wisdom for generations, all because Allah made their worth intrinsic, not transactional. When they offer favors, titles, or flattery, understand these offers are attempts to domesticate what cannot be domesticated. They seek to place their stamp on a station that Allah created to remain independent of corruption. Your role, then, is sacred restraint. Accept with discernment, refuse with dignity, and always measure proximity by whether it serves the deen and the ummah, not the vanity of those who fear truth. Guard your heart as the trust it is, because being the seat carries responsibility. To be just when they expect favoritism, to be humble when they expect grandeur, to speak truth when they prefer pleasing lies. Let your presence be a mercy. Let your leadership be a shelter that heals rather than a throne that crushes. And when their plots and bids grow louder, smile softly inwardly, for their struggle is your signpost, proof that Allah placed in you a reality that unsettles the powerful and awakens the humble. In the end, their fight cannot rewrite what Allah has written. You will sit where He ordained, among those whom He honors, and your seat will testify not to worldly acclaim, but to the fidelity of a soul that stayed true through the nights of despair and the mornings of obscurity. Hold fast to Allah, chosen one, and let your seat be a place that points people not to you, but back to the one who made you steadfast and set you above every false claim. Chosen ones, you've seen through these lessons that what Allah placed in you is not up for sale, not up for negotiation, and not up for compromise. The elite can launch their secret wars. They can gather in their hidden rooms. They can whisper and fight for a seat next to you. But the truth is, the seat itself belongs to Allah, and He has already given it to you. Remember this: your value was hidden until Allah revealed it. Your light cannot be bought, and your protection comes from the Lord of the worlds. So walk forward with dignity, with humility, and with the unshakable certainty that no matter who fights to sit beside you, your true honor is sitting under the throne of Allah on the day when there will be no shade but His. Never forget, you are not here to impress creation, you are here to fulfill a divine mission. Stay strong, stay sincere, and let the world see that you were chosen, not by people, but by Allah Himself. And if these words resonated with you, beloved soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wisdom of the Prophets, so more hearts can be reminded of the light Allah placed within them. Until next time, may Allah protect you, guide you, and make you firm upon the truth.